It's not just about money and buying things, but it's about having the freedom to make choices. If you are, for example, saving to buy a house, when you get your paycheck or when you have money, extra money, you make a decision. Are you going to put that money in the bank and save it denominated in dollars, or are you going to convert it to something else like shares of oil, shares of the S&P, gold, Bitcoin? There's like a lot of options here. Most of these financial advisors, they're basically just salespeople who have very little real knowledge of how this stuff works. Wall Street's a scam. We've got to take this into our own hands. If you delegate this very important part of your life to somebody else, you might get a modest return, but they're going to take a huge handling fee off the top for managing the deal. You can ensure your own liberty and your own freedom much more effectively with resources than without them. You could also compare it to oil. So in 1990, since we're kind of using that as a year, if you wanted to buy a house for $121,500, the median price home in 1990, oil was $23 a barrel. It would take you 5,366 barrels of oil to buy that house. Today, the house is $380,000. Oil, as of September, was $68 a barrel. It only takes 5,590 barrels of oil to buy the same house. So, I mean, think about it. It's 200 barrels more expensive than it was 31 years ago. That's not a big shift, okay? But you need to do this with a lot of things. So as part of the Hartman Comparison Index, we look at rice, the food stock for 2/3 of the world. You know, how much rice would you need to trade for a house? How many dollars? How much gold? How much of the S&P 500? Here's a good one. Let's do this one. So 1990, S&P 500 share was $360 and a house was $121,000. It would take you 338 shares of the S&P to buy a house. So if you owned stock in the S&P, you'd have to cash out 338 shares, convert them to dollars, and then go pay for the house. But today, if you own shares of the same S&P, the same index, the house is 347,000. This, by the way, is as of June. It wasn't updated. The others are September. 347,000 in June. The S&P then was $4,352. You'd only need 80 shares. So if someone listening to this, what do you do with this? A lot of people say, well, Jason, okay, that's all interesting, but what do I do? Well, this is the thing you have to think about. If you are, for example, saving to buy a house, when you get your paycheck or take a distribution from your business or whatever, when you have money, extra money, you make a decision. Are you going to put that money in the bank and save it denominated in dollars, or are you going to convert it to something else like shares of oil, shares of the S&P, gold, Bitcoin? You know, there's like a lot of options here. And all I'm trying to do is get people to see that when you compare the price of real estate to multiple measuring sticks instead of just using the dollar, it is very, very enlightening. Very enlightening. And we have a white paper on this, which is, I can't remember. I think it's 17 pages long. And it's got lots of charts and graphs, lots of narrative. And people, if they just get on our mailing list at jasonhartman.com, or they get my free book at pandemicinvesting.com, they'll be on the mailing list and they'll get an offer for the white paper. And it's totally free. And it explains this in a lot more depth.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, that's really great context, and I think your index brings about a better way for people to make those comparisons, because you're right. People today say, well, everything's expensive and real estate's too expensive, and am I too late to get in on it? And we know there's great ways and tools to make those assessments, and you brought out a great one with the Hartman Index. So, question, Jason. We like alternatives. We like real estate. Like you. You know, I started very, very young, and built my outside wealth, my plan B wealth and income, on bread and butter real estate, just as you do today. You teach that today as a fundamental. The opportunities in real estate we like because the real estate market, as you've brought out, is not a national market. It's very local. You can choose the markets. It's inefficient and it's dislocated. which are all
Yeah,
good things if you're willing
David.
to do what it takes to make the connections or do the work yourself, which a lot of us did when we were young, right?
Yeah.
But now we have people that are well into their mid-career, and maybe they're even enders, and they're taking liquidity events, and they're retiring out and going, oh my gosh, do I have enough, right? The financial markets say, do you have enough? Have you accumulated enough? And of course, they never know because their algorithms are all based on the last 40 years of lower interest rates and relatively low inflation. Now I think we're turning the curve, and I think we're going to start ramping back up the other way. And now we're in an environment, another long wave cycle that most people, and certainly people in the wealth management space, have no clue, no idea whatsoever to do with it. So we're in this kind of specialized niche space. And is it still a good place for the retail, quote, wannabe passive investor to do something different? I mean, I know what your answer is going to be, but for someone who's just listening today, give them some confidence.
Okay, so first of all, you mentioned the Wall Street cartel, and I like to call Wall Street the modern version of organized crime. And what people have to realize is that most of these financial advisors wear nice suits. They probably went to good schools, good colleges, but they're basically just salespeople who have very little real knowledge of how this stuff works. Their job, mostly, not all of them, but the vast majority of them, is to simply go and schmooze people, network with people, and be nice and collect money to stick into a fund. That's essentially what they do. And when I sold my last company to Coldwell Banker in 2005, I had a big check coming to me, David. And like many of your dentists who are selling their practices, they're thinking like, well, what do I do? Well, I went around to all of these wealth management people, and I hired an exit planner to get tax advice. And I did all of this stuff. And the amazing thing is they all gave me these beautiful, thick reports with a bunch of charts and graphs and pie charts in them. And the thing that blew my mind is that every pie chart looked exactly the same. It was the same.
But they're pretty.
Yeah, it was the same stupid pie chart from every one of these guys. And I want you to understand, these aren't like the retail guys. These are like the high-end private, client group people for the wealthy people, right? And, it was modern portfolio theory. It's like, okay, you got to have some small cap, some large cap, some international. There was nothing innovative about anything any of them were saying. You'd probably just be better off buying a Vanguard S&P fund, okay? Which, by the way, has been proven over and over. If you don't believe me, read the book, The Random Walk Down Wall Street, and, where all the clients' yachts, the famous line from that book.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah. So Wall Street's a scam, okay? We've got to take this into our own hands. We've got to be doing our own stuff. If you delegate this very important part of your life to somebody else, you might get a modest return, but they're going to take a huge handling fee off the top for managing the deal. And for my money, I want to be a direct investor, and I want to control what I invest in. I don't want some bunch of middlemen, investment bankers, brokerage houses, fund managers skimming all the profits off the top, or even before them, the CEOs and the board of directors of the companies and all this stuff. I want to be mostly in stuff that I have control over. That why is it that people, they get lazy with their money? If you have an employee in your business, you wouldn't allow a lazy employee to keep working for you. Yet, for some reason, that's just part of human nature, we're willing to let our money be lazy. We're willing to have a whole bunch of equity in real estate that's not working for us. We're willing to have a bunch of money in a stupid mutual fund that's barely working for us, if at all. Income property is the most historically proven asset class in the entire world. It's got a very long history of success, and is the most tax-favored asset class in America. And taxes are the single largest expense in anyone's life. So it is incumbent upon us to learn about income property and become good at this. It is vitally important. It is not something you can delegate to somebody else.
I 100% concur. And Wall Street would say it's too complex a world out there. Just give us your money and we'll take
Yeah.
good care of it. And that's banking on a hope and a prayer. So,
Yeah. Famous
Jason,
last words. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, listen, I really appreciate your time today. Well, we could go down 15 different rabbit holes, and I think we should come back and go down some of those because it would be fun. It's always fun to talk to you, your insights, your perspective. Philosophically, we're in so much alignment, and yet we were raised by different mothers in different geographies. And but we figured we've kind of figured out, along with a lot of other people that are in the same circles. And if we can just help more people get it, because I think people today, Jason, you would agree. The generations coming up, or in the generations even retiring day,
Yeah.
It's a different ball game. If you thought you had it figured out, or you thought you had a plan before, trust me, that plan needs a new playbook today, and you better figure out what that playbook looks like. And there's no advisor out there that's got it figured out. You're gonna have to do some work yourself and connect yourself to the right people. We're all figuring it out together, but do it with a tribe that's been there, done it, and has really fingers on the pulse of the markets that we want to be in. To me, Jason, that's the best insurance policy I can buy.
I couldn't agree with you more, David. And, I'd love to just talk with you for 2 more hours on this stuff, but I will say just a couple of things. Number one, sadly, America has become a kleptocracy. And it's kind of like the elites see the culture falling apart. They see all this divisiveness. In fact, they create a lot of the divisiveness.
Well, I was to say they want it. They want it.
They do want it because it's a distraction. And as they are distracting all of us, they are just buying up all the assets. They're controlling all the assets, and it's kind of like, the person who's trying to get all the gold off the Titanic before it goes down.
Yeah.
And it's sad, but look, everybody listening has got to do their part. And the whole reason you're doing this is because, it's not just about money and buying things, but it's about having the freedom to make choices. Maybe you need to move and change your geography. Maybe you even need to change your country and your citizenship. And if you have assets and money, this will be a lot easier for you. You can ensure your own liberty and your own freedom much more effectively with resources than without them. Otherwise, you're just going to be a pawn in their game, and it is truly evil what the elite class is doing to the country. But it is what it is. So
it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, JasonHartman.com, pandemicinvesting.com. You can pick up the white paper, pick up the book. Jason's got multiple media podcasts out there. If you just type his name, he's going to come up somewhere. So you can plug into the Jason Hartman world. I'm glad to be a part of it. Jason, thanks for being with us today. We'll come back and do some more in a future episode.
Thanks, David. Happy investing.
Thank you, sir. If you enjoyed watching or learning from this video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more content. If you have a question about any of my content or this specific video, just please leave a comment down below. And as always, stay focused on your freedom. I'll see you next time.